Hi guys, it's Mrs. Saucetta. I'm here to show you how to complete your work if you missed today's lesson, which is 9:18. So if you missed today's lesson, you're going to have to go, of course, to Google Classroom, to classwork. Today's date, 9:18. You'll have two attachments, a Google Doc with your name on it. This is where you're going to answer your questions, and then a Google slide that I'll go over with you. And you also have a view-only copy that you can look at on your own. So this is the slide, but before I go over the slide, I want to go over the questions with you that you're going to be answering after the slides. So today we're going to learn about the three main parts of a seed. You're going to learn the difference between a monocot and a dicot. You're going to give me an example of a monocot. You're going to insert an image of a monocot. Then you're going to give me an example of a dicot and insert an image of a dicot. So seed parts. There are three main seed parts: the seed coat, the embryo, and the food supply. So the seed coat is a protective outer covering of the seed. The embryo is like the baby plant, and then the food supply is the larger portion. It takes up most of the seed, the food supply, and this provides energy and nutrients for the embryo to grow. So when we were talking previously about what do our beans need to grow, and we said they only really need us to give them darkness and some moisture, because they already have the nutrients and food that they need, and they already have their protection and the embryo in there. So in order for us to grow the seeds, we just need to give them darkness and damp. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a monocot versus a dicot. So when your seed does start to sprout, sometimes you'll notice that just one leaf starts to sprout up. And so we call that a monocot, because mono means one. It has one primary leaf. And so these will look kind of like grass. It will look like when grass is growing. And then a dicot is when the seed starts to sprout and has two primary leaves. So like a bean will sprout with two primary leaves. And so corn, if you see this picture, this is what corn looks like when it's sprouting. That's a monocot because it looks like it's just starting with one primary leaf. Tomatoes have these two large primary leaves, so it's a dicot. Our geraniums have two primary leaves. That's a dicot. Di means two. Wheat is an example of a monocot. So you see it's just one primary leaf. It looks like grass growing. Mono means one. Our daylily is a monocot. And this one is confusing for kids because they see it looks like there's more than one leaf, but it does look like grass, and one primary leaf is what it would begin growing with. So we would say that this is a monocot. Grass is another monocot. And if you see a seed sprouting and it looks like grass, then we would call that a monocot. And then lastly, squash is a dicot because you'll notice the two primary leaves. And I like this picture of the squash. I'm going to zoom into it because we were talking about in the past the life cycle of our beans. And so if you look at this picture and you think about the life cycle of our beans and really most plants, fruit plants, the life cycle, the seed will start to sprout, right? And then it will turn into the adult plant, and then it will flower. And then from the flower, it can grow fruit. And so you'll notice here on these pictures that on the edge of the zucchini, there's a flower. So the flower was turning into the squash, the zucchini, okay? So after the flowering, we have the fruit production. So that's just something I wanted to remind you about. So we can go ahead and exit out of here, or you could leave yours open if you wanted to keep it open so you could flip back and forth. You're going to go over here and answer these questions. The three main parts of a seed, difference between monocot and dicot, example of monocot, image of monocot. So to do an image, you click this image button. You can search the web and you can type in an example of a monocot from the slideshow, or you can think of your own. And then give me an example of a dicot, an image of a dicot by hitting the insert image from web. If you have any questions, you can comment or email me. I want to take some time to remind you that progress reports are coming out next week. So if you have any missing work, get that done sometime early next week.